Hi everyone, it is alenajingle, and today I am back with another book review slash names from the books I'm reading. And I am really excited to be talking about the next several books because they are my all-time favorite book series, which are the Anne of Green Gables book series, and I think there's a really good chance that I'm going to be doing a video for each book because Anne is obsessed with names and she talks about everybody's names and she names everything. So I started reading these again in January of this year, and I haven't read them since the summer of 2010, and they are just as incredible as I remember them being. And this is a topic that's done a lot because there are a lot of beautiful names from these books, and so I'm not going to be talking about the main characters. What I'm going to be talking about are the names that I like the most, the names that I find most interesting, and then names with some stories in them. So I'm going to be talking about them in chronological order, so the names that were mentioned first. And the first name I would like to talk to you guys about is Marilla, of course. Marilla is the name of the woman who adopts Anne, Marilla Cuthbert. This is a Latin form of the name Amaryllis, which means sparkling, which I think is absolutely wonderful. And I think if Anne had known the meaning of Marilla's name, she would have been crazy about it. I actually thought this name was pronounced Maria when I first read the book when I was really little, because I always knew that two L's in Spanish made the ya sound, but it is definitely Marilla, and I think Marilla is lovely, and I would love to see someone use the name Marilla. The next two names I would like to talk to you guys about are Hephzibah and Rosalia. In the book, Anne is going on one of her chatty sprees basically in the beginning when she's a little girl and she talks all the time. And she mentions that there is a little girl from the asylum, the orphanage, where she had been living before, whose name was Hephzibah Jenkins, but she thought she deserved a prettier name, and so she called her Rosalia DeVere, which I find very funny. So Hephzibah is a Hebrew name that means my delight is in her. Beautiful meaning. There is a Harry Potter character by this name, and it is of course a biblical name. And Rosalia is a Spanish and Portuguese name meaning rose, of course. And I think these names are both absolutely beautiful, so I want to know which name you guys think is prettier, which one of you has Anne's style of naming more perhaps. Next two names again are names that she mentions together, and they are Geraldine and Cordelia. So Cordelia is a name that I and possibly a lot of people associate with the Anne of Green Gables books, because Anne, when she introduces herself to her adoptive parents, asks them if they would call her Cordelia, and she always wished her name was Cordelia Fitzgerald, because before she liked the name Cordelia, she always wished her name was Geraldine. And when she would play make-believe with her friend Diana, they would call themselves Geraldine and Cordelia and things like that. So Geraldine is a feminine form of Gerald, which means spear roll, and Cordelia is a Celtic name meaning daughter of the sea, and is actually newly in my top girl combos. It is our bottom girl combo, and it is Cordelia Hester. So once again, tell me which of these two names you guys would rather have be your name. I think they're both very grand and elegant and cool. The next name for this video I would like to talk to you guys about is Bertha. So in the book, Bertha is mentioned as Anne's mother's name, and she thinks the name Bertha is absolutely exquisite. This is actually a German name that means bright, which I really like because of the meaning in general, but also because my name means bright shining light, so that's kind of fun. This is a name that the general public, including namers, absolutely despises. And I think it's a shame because it's very light and feminine to me, and I really hope with my children's generation that it will start to be brought back. I think it's just an absolutely wonderful name, and of course I love that it's associated with the Anne of Green Gables books. My next two names again together are Walter and Jedediah. So Walter Shirley is the name of Anne's birth father, and she talks about his name because she thinks it's very distinguished and handsome, and she said it just wouldn't be the same if his name was Jedediah. So I think that's funny because Walter and Jedediah are both names my husband and I have discussed using recently, and we actually do plan on using Jedediah as a middle name, and we've talked about Walter because we found out that Walter was the first name of one of his great-grandpas. I thought it was funny that she mentioned those two names together, and once again I'd like to know which of those two names you guys like better. And Walter is an English name that means rule army, and Jedediah is the English form of the Hebrew Yedidiah, which means beloved by God. Really, really love that meaning. The next name I would like to mention to you guys is Violetta. So when Anna's a little girl at the beginning of the series, she is talking all the time, and she tells a story about how she used to visit this place before she had been adopted by Marilla Cuthbert and her brother, where she could always hear everything she said echo back, and so she named her echo Violetta, and she always felt really bad that she had to move away from Violetta. So Violetta is the Italian form of violet. I think it is so gorgeous, and I actually am not including this name as one of my violet alternatives in the series of videos I'm doing of less popular alternatives to the top 100 girl names, just because I knew I was going to be mentioning it in this video, and there are so many beautiful options for less popular alternatives to violet. But I think this name is stunning, and I would love to see it used more, and I really love Anne's taste in names. And my next name I would like to mention is very similar to Violetta, and that is Lauretta with this spelling. This is an Italian form of the name Laurel, and Lauretta is a little girl that Anne meets when she is invited to go over to the new Reverend's wife's house for a visit, and I think this name is extremely pretty. I do like the more common L-O-R-E-T-T-A spelling, but I think this name somehow makes it look even more feminine, and I would love to see it used. I think it's darling. The next name I'm going to be talking about is one of my favorite names, but I'm not sure I've ever talked about it in a name video before, and that is Muriel. So Muriel Stacy is the name of Anne's new school teacher when I think she's about maybe 13 or 14-ish. Muriel is a Celtic name that means bright sea, and it is one I could absolutely use because of how much I love it, but I actually can't use it, and that's because number one, it sounds terrible with my last name, and number two, Amelia, that I mention all the time, who is Everything Baby Names on YouTube, it is a very meaningful family name for her, and she does hope to use it, and I'm really excited that she wants to use it because that means that she can use it for me too, because I can't use it. But Muriel is just music to me. It sounds like a chord. It is just absolutely stunning, and I really hope this name comes back soon. It's just beautiful. My next name I would like to mention is Lucilla or Lucilla. This is the name of a local clerk that Matthew meets in one of the very iconic Anne of Green Gables stories, where he's going to go order material for a dress for Anne, and he gets so nervous about doing it that he orders all these preposterous things from the store and really embarrasses himself. So Lucilla is a Latin diminutive of Lucia or Lucia, which means light, and diminutives in the Latin language, they add illa at the end. So if we were to call a little girl Caitlin Katie, or a little girl named Abigail Abby, they would instead add illa at the end. For instance, the name Prisca is more commonly known by its diminutive Priscilla to us. I think Lucilla is absolutely wonderful, and Lucy is in the top 100 girl names, and I think a lot of people are looking for longer options to have Lucy as a nickname, and Lucilla would be a wonderful option for that. The next name I'd like to talk to you about is a first and middle combo of a classmate of Anne's, and that is Moody Spurgeon. So I was just going to mention his first name because Moody as a name. I don't even know if I need to expand on that. What do you guys think of Moody as a name? I think it's very interesting. It's not his nickname, it's his actual name in it. Moody Spurgeon is a very awkward looking and acting student, but is someone that they all really love and get along with as well, and he's very smart. But I absolutely had to include his middle name because Spurgeon is a name that is being brought into the limelight lately because of celebrity Jessa Duggar, or now Jessa Seawald. She and her husband named their son Spurgeon Elliott, and I knew I had seen it used as a name in literature before, and this is definitely where I would have seen it. Yeah, Moody Spurgeon, that is a big name to wear, and yeah, let me know what you guys think of both the names Moody and Spurgeon. And the next name I would like to talk to you guys about is Harmon. Harmon is the name in the story of a relative of Jane Andrews, who is a friend and classmate of Anne's. I wasn't sure if it was her grandparent or uncle or exactly who he was, but another iconic Anne of Green Gables scene is when she rides down the river in a little boat and the boat sinks, and Gilbert comes along in Mr. Harmon Andrews' little boat to save her. Harmon is an English form of the name Herman, which means army man, and I instinctively want to like this name. It fits in really well with a lot of names I like, but unfortunately that harm sound at the beginning just kind of makes it unusable for me. But what do you guys think of Harmon? Let me know in the comments below. And my last name for this video I would like to talk about is Myrtle. Myrtle is of course the name of a shrub, and Myrtle is the name someone mentioned just in passing when Anne is on her little chatty rampages that she gets on of someone who was blighted by her lover. So Myrtle is another one of those names that's very polarizing, but people tend to dislike it. But I actually think this name is really dainty and sweet, and I would really love to see it come back. It's another name I couldn't consider using because it does not work with my last name, unfortunately. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know what you think of the names I mentioned and what you think of the book Anne of Green Gables, and I am looking forward to hopefully filming a video about some of my favorite names from the second book in the series, which is Anne of Avonlea. Have a great day.